Today, I'm going to talk about goal planning. I'm going to talk about goal planning with ADHD and without ADHD. I'm also going to talk about things that you can do to help you reach your goals when you have ADHD. All that is coming up. Let's get into it. The first thing you're going to do, whether you have ADHD or not, is pick a goal. Pick a long term goal because this process will show you how to get to that long term goal. You can pick a different length of goal that you want to do, 6 months, 1 month, whatever, but pick something a little bit longer. And once you do that, now you're going to work on the second part, which is going to be prioritizing. You're going to figure out, okay, how do I prioritize the things I need to do to get to that goal? How do I even prioritize which goal is going to be a good goal? Now, we don't have ADHD. Sometimes this is a lot easier. You say, hey, I have this goal. I'm going to do that goal. And these are the things I need to do to get to that goal. I'm sure of it. Now, with ADHD, you're working off an interest based system. So, what is interesting at the time? Yes, you have this goal, you have this thing that you want to do and accomplish, but it's so far away. It's so far 6 months, a year out, whatever, right? And this other thing is more interesting at the time. So, how do you prioritize things and make sure you're staying towards that goal? One of the ways you can do this is basically do a four square. And I mentioned a four square before. It's basically saying, hey, which things are important, which things are not important, which things are very important, which things are like, maybe kind of important. And so you're going to put all these on a sheet of paper and put these different sections on paper and then have them in those different sections. Then you're going to think about the things you need to do for your project. And also, you can take it to the really kind of high level and say, okay, what is the most important thing? This goal is the most important thing right now. And then this next goal that I have is the second most important thing, or whatever. And then all those things that you're like, I could do this right now, you put and you decide on where they want to go on that scale. Now, your project is 6 months or 12 months or whatever out, right? And you're like, hey, I could start on that now, but there's this other interesting thing that I want to do. Maybe I want to watch this series on a streaming service, whatever. So looking back at your four scores, the easy way to know, okay, this is important, and this is just not important at all. I got to stay focused on the important things. Now, the next thing is called chunking. What chunking is finding similarities between things and then associating them together. So, for example, if you have all these things you need to do for preparation, all these materials you need to get, all these steps you need to get, you put all that under preparation. And then you can break it down even further into these are materials, these are steps. And then you can break it down even further depending on what you want to do. And an easy way to see this is going to be an example of spices, right? This right here, Cajun spice. This right here, garlic parmesan spice. This right here, garlic sriracha spice. This right here, pepper, right? Pepper. So trying to get in the frame. But the point is these are all different spices, right? And so they can go under the spice category. So the thing about it is that's how chunking works. You put all these things that have similarities, commonalities into one category, one thing. Now, planning without ADHD will still use chunking, and it just depends on if they have more categories or less categories when you have ADHD. Generally, when you have ADHD, you're going to have more categories and more divisions. And so that is going to be the difference when you have ADHD and when you don't have ADHD and you are trying to plan just the extent of the chunking process. Next, remember that people motivate you. If you have a friend that's over and you're trying to do something, that friend, because they are there, is going to motivate you to get it done because you're like, hey, my friend's here. And because they're here, I can have a little more fun. It's more comfortable for me. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done, especially if that friend has decided to help you. Now, if you're in college or a high school class or just any kind of class that you're taking, and there are other people there in the class, and you say, hey, let's get into a study group, and you study together with those people, they're going to motivate you because, yes, you're here at a study group with a purpose. They're here with you. And because all of you are doing the same thing, you get motivated to accomplish the same task. Another thing you can do is get into one of these project groups online. They're great because of the fact that, hey, they're like for 30 or 60 days, and you decide to do a project and everyone else decides to do a project. They can be different. But the point of these groups is that, hey, you're all working on a project at the same time. And then what you do, you come in for a check-in like each week or each couple of days or whatever the check-in time is. And then you each encourage each other. And it's awesome because of the fact that they are helping you get motivated. You're helping them get motivated. So it's an all win-win for everyone in that group. The next point is flexibility. Sometimes when people do plans, they're like, I'm sticking to the plan. The plan is a plan. I'm not deviating from the plan at all. The plan is gospel, right? The plan is the thing that I'm going to do. Instead of with ADHD, a lot of times you are an outside the box thinker. You're like, the plan's good. I understand the plan, but this over here might be better, or this over here might be better, or this angle you haven't looked at yet. So maybe your plan doesn't work because this angle is really important. And so with ADHD, a lot of times you're thinking outside the box and you're adjusting on the fly sometimes, or you're thinking about how can I adjust this to make it better. And sometimes it doesn't work out and sometimes it does, but it's about the opportunity to basically be flexible, to basically say, hey, I'm thinking outside the box. Let's do the plan. But the plan doesn't have to be the end all be all, right? The plan is good, but this might be a better way to do the plan. The next thing also has to do with getting started. It's called your time horizon. It is when whatever goal you're trying to accomplish becomes urgent to you. Whatever steps you need to accomplish become urgent to you. So if you don't have ADHD, a lot of times you can plan for a much longer time out. I know people who can plan for 2 years out. But if you have ADHD, it's going to be very hard, next to really, really difficult to plan for 2 years out when you have ADHD. Not saying it can't be done. It's just saying that it's a very hard thing to do. And you're probably dealing with a time horizon that's much shorter. So if you're like, hey, I have this thing to do a year out, and you realize nothing becomes urgent to you until 2 months out, or nothing becomes urgent to you until 2 weeks out. Okay, if that is the case, then your time horizon is 2 weeks or 2 months out or whatever. And now you're trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to do this thing that I need to do in a year? How am I going to make sure that I get it all accomplished in that year time? So you have to figure out how to compensate for that. Now, if, like I said, if you don't have ADHD, this might not be a problem. You're good. But if you do have ADHD, you got to figure out, okay, how am I going to figure out to get this thing into my time horizon and figure out to compensate for that and to get this thing done that I have in this extended amount of time. So the solution to this is if you have ADHD, you're probably going to have to set up some mini checkpoints, many deadlines along the way. Know something's a year out, you know your time horizon is 2 weeks, and every 2 weeks you have some kind of deadline in place so that you realize, hey, I've got this deadline, it's 2 weeks away, it's in my time horizon. So that way, whatever checkpoints or whatever, they're in your time horizon all the time. So instead of waiting until, 8 months down the road to finish this task that generally is going to take 6 months, where you're like, I can do it in 4 months, really, and like cram it. Instead of that, every 2 weeks you're accomplishing something on that project. Every 2 weeks you're doing something towards the end of that project. Next, know your strengths and weaknesses. You need to know what you're good at and what you're not very good at, because that is going to help you accomplish your plan and reach your goal. If you're bad at like just organizing stuff, right, then you might want to see if there's a friend that can help you organize, or someone else that's doing the project with you that's great at organizing. And you decide, hey, I'm not good at organizing, but I am awesome at writing, or I'm awesome at coming up with ideas. So then you kind of make a deal. You're like, hey, if you do this part and you do the organization part, I can definitely help with the brainstorming part and doing all the creative side of things part. Or, hey, I'm good at organizing these certain parts of this thing. I'm great at that, but I'm not so good at this. So can you take that part of it? Or can you, why I do this part? It's not bad. Everybody has things they're not good at, and they're just like, hey, I'm not good at this certain thing. And that's fine, because everybody has that thing. But whether you have ADHD or not, you need to know that. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is breaks. When you don't have ADHD, you might be able to work for a long time and not take a break. You're good. If you do have ADHD though, you're going to have to take more breaks generally, because you're dealing with executive function issues and working memory issues. And so you need to plan those out and figure out, when am I going to take my breaks? How long are they going to be? And everything like that. The best way I found to basically do breaks is going to be the Pomodoro method. And what it is, work for 15 minutes, take a 5-minute break. Work for another 15 minutes, take a 5-minute break. Work up to an hour, take a 25-minute break. And it's great because you have these time frames all divvied out. Now, if a 15-minute time frame for you working doesn't work for you, then work for 10 minutes. And just try to have these different breaks along the way so that you can kind of just let your mind have a rest and then come back refreshed and approach it again. Now, the next thing is going to be your tools or different things that help you along the way. If you have ADHD, you might have different ones than someone that doesn't have ADHD, but each person has some different tools. Some of the more important ones when you have ADHD is going to be timers, planners, notifications, sticky notes. Sticky notes, super important. Dry erase board, dry erase calendar. All these different things will help you when you're trying to accomplish a project. Maybe you want to just hang something up to where you have all your stuff spread out on different papers and stuff like that and hang them around the house or whatever. All these different things are tools that are going to help you stay on task and help you stay moving towards your goal. The next thing is going to be, have some rewards in place. When you accomplish something big, when you accomplish something that's really awesome, or you finish a certain part that was really hard, reward yourself. Have something in place that will help you say, hey, I have done this, I've accomplished this, and this is awesome. And the last thing is going to be review your wins, review your victories, whatever you did on the project that was really good, that you're finished with the project, and now you're looking back and you're like, wow, I did all this, I did this, that was cool, I did this, was awesome. This was really challenging, but I still accomplished it. Review all those things. If you want to review them along the way, that's fine too, but definitely review them at the end, because it's going to motivate you when you have to do something similar again, or when you're just trying to do something else. You'll be like, hey, I did all this on this project, I can do this that's in front of me now. So what do you think about all this? What do you think about all the things I went over about achieving your goals, doing the planning and getting there? Do you have other ones, other ways that you do this as well? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you want to learn more about how to prevent or reduce procrastination, watch this video right here, because I go over all the ways you can do that. And I think it will be helpful in this process as well to help you reach your goals too. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.